We're visiting a horse named Chance today. He is a Mustang Cross. He's probably about 15 hands, maybe a little bit smaller. He's 17 years old. He's got really solid legs. He doesn't look like a 17-year-old horse. But I wanted to introduce you guys to him because he's just so wonderful. I mean, I've fallen in love with him. I started riding again after 15 years of being away from it, and he was the first horse that I rode, and apparently he's a little hard to ride. He's not for someone that's a beginner. He needs somebody on him that knows what they're doing, that's gentle but firm, and he gives a great ride. He walks out, he trots really well, it's nice and smooth, he gives a great canter. He still has so many adventures left in him. He's just an amazing horse. I've fallen in love with him. I'd buy him in a heartbeat even though he's 17 because I feel he has probably well into his late 20s good riding left if someone buys him now and takes good care of him. He's not abused or anything. He's got good hay here, good alfalfa. They actually decided to put him in a stall. He's not out with the herd because he got a little bit picked on by the other horses. And the barn manager realized how beautiful he is and didn't want him getting all chewed up by the other horses. He does have some quirks. One of them is like if you start feeding treats, he's never really had somebody that gives him treats. Based on his behavior with treats, he could take a digit off, by the way. Not trying to be mean, he just doesn't understand. So he like will grab at your hand, and if your hand is flat like you're supposed to feed a horse treat with, he'll dig into your hand with his teeth. It's probably because he's been hungry. And he also has never had a person really kind of treat him with that kind of kindness or attention or spoiling him. He also has an issue with being tied up. So some people call them cross ties. Some people might just tie him to a fence post. He doesn't like to be tied up. He has a potential of rearing up. He doesn't do it all the time, but there's some kind of traumatic situation that occurred to him that has made him do that. The other thing is he doesn't like it when you're holding him and stand directly in front of him. It'll produce the same kind of response of throwing himself back. He does trailer though because they take him on 3 or 4 day rides, so he does trailer well. I have groomed his back and his front and his face. He seems really nice. I've not tried to brush his tail yet. I don't know if he's ever had someone groom him like that. So right now he's on a dude string. He only gets used 2 or 3 times a week because beginners cannot ride him. I just really want to see this guy get a wonderful home. He's magnificent. He's got a lot of life left. He's a cutie. He's inquisitive. His legs and his feet are really, really strong. He does not have the legs of a 17-year-old dude string horse. He's got legs of iron. When you look at his feet, they look nice and strong as well. He gets shod, meaning his feet get trimmed, and he gets new shoes every month like he's supposed to. So he is decently taken care of. I'm really positive that this horse has an amazing amount of life left. And a lot of riding, a lot of adventures. He's wonderful. I can't say enough about him. I just really believe in this guy. Once he starts to trust you and he has a steady life with somebody, he's just going to give them the moon and back again. He's just going to be the best horse to be with. Initially, when you start riding him, until he gets to know you, his trot may seem a little choppy, and he raises his head sometimes, his neck really high up. And he does the same thing at the canter. Like the first time I cantered him, his neck almost hit my nose, which is all riders know. You know, you get your nose broken that way. But he was doing it because he was under duress. He was afraid I didn't know what I was doing at the trot. He was afraid I didn't know what I was doing at a canter. So he was very tense. I've ridden him 4 or 5 other times since then, and he is so relaxed now at the trot. He gives me a beautiful, smooth trot. For everybody out there who has injuries, I have them in my back. I cannot ride a rough horse. He is so smooth at a trot. He's smooth at a canter. Doesn't activate any of my injuries. He's just a pleasure to ride with. See how his lips really come at you? He's a little bit like a shark. He doesn't mean to hurt you. He's just eager to get cookies. The first time I knew he was special was when he tripped and he didn't throw me off. And he tripped so hard he went to his knees. He really paid attention to not knocking me off. He knew how weak I was. He knew I could keep my center of gravity. But he was paying attention, and all his movements were as smooth as he could possibly get them, so I would not fall off of him. And I just knew at that point that even though he was a dude string horse, and he didn't have the best life, and he had a lot of stupid people on his back, he still had a lot of kindness in his heart. I love being on board him. He's just very careful with dogs. He must have had a bad experience. He doesn't spook or do anything crazy, but he definitely just doesn't like being around them. But that can be worked out with time. So if you have dogs on your farm think my biggest fear is, even though they say at the barn where he's at that he'll be retired to a farm, all rental strings say that, and it's only the extraordinary that truly mean it. I'm really worried about what happens the day that they feel he's no longer a moneymaker for them. So the ideal is to find somebody who can take him, whether it's a rescue or a private person who would love to buy him and have adventures on him. I mean, look at him. He doesn't act like a 17-year-old horse. He's got a lot of life in him. So my goal is, while he's not being abused, this is just not the life for him to be a rental horse and then not have a good retirement. Somebody should buy him, take him out on lots of adventures, have a blast on his back. He is a great guy. He's honorable. He's honest. He's a good mover. He is fun, and give him a home for the rest of his life so that he has dignity in his senior years. Go to HealerTV.com if you want to find out more about this horse. Use my email or my telephone to call. He's in Los Angeles, California in Griffith Park. He is comfortable to ride, super fun, honest, a very honorable, good horse.